Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mogi Beth, and for those of y'all who are new here, I am a full-time online reseller of women's clothing on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Tradesy. Today we are talking about a topic I've been wanting to dive into for quite some time. We are talking about Revolve, and specifically their in-house brands. Revolve is an online retailer that has made a huge impact on the fashion industry in the past decade. If you're unfamiliar with Revolve and you're a reseller or just interested in fashion, I would highly recommend that you go to revolve.com, scroll around, and then go on Instagram and search the hashtag Revolve around the world. Something that Revolve has been really great at over the past few years is implementing a very effective social media marketing campaign, specifically with influencers. You may be aware of Revolve because of that. You might be aware of Revolve because they were featured on The Bachelor last season. There was a specific segment dedicated to a Revolve fashion show. But let me know in the comments down below if you're familiar with Revolve or not, and how you found out about them and what you think of them. I actually only found out about Revolve in about late 2018. But the backstory of this company actually goes back further than a decade, and it's really interesting, and the way that they've actually built this company, to me, is the most interesting part about it. And I want to talk about a little bit of that in the beginning, but later on we're going to dive into a bunch of different in-house brands from Revolve that I think every reseller should know. We're going to talk about what sells well under those specific brands, what the average sales price range is, and then what my experience with those brands has been. So I hope this video is super helpful for y'all, especially for those of y'all who aren't super familiar with Revolve already, because I don't think this online retailer is going away anytime soon, especially in cities and in college towns where consumers are trend oriented and trend conscious. So, okay, without further ado, let's talk about Revolve. So, as I was saying, Revolve has been around for a while. It's started in 2003 by two guys named Michael Mente and Mike Karanicolas. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. They first started Revolve as a place where you could find as many fashion brands as possible online, but then they over time pivoted to be a online retailer targeting specifically millennial women who care about trends. So fast forward to 2015, I think in my research, 2015 was a very, very pivotal year for Revolve. They acquired Alliance Apparel Group, and Alliance Apparel Group is the company responsible for almost all the brands we're going to talk about today. They are the ones who created Lovers and Friends, NBD, Tularosa, etc. So when they acquired this group, they acquired those brands with it. And so with this acquisition, they were able to be way more nimble and way more responsive to trends because they had control over these brands and could really manufacture much more quickly when they saw different trends and styles become popular from their research. So Alliance Apparel Group was started by Raye, who is now Revolve CMO, and if you watch that Bachelor episode of that Revolve was in, she was the one who is actually on there judging, and Mitch Mosley. Revolve had actually been selling their brands from the beginning, so it wasn't really that big of a transition from the consumer's perspective, but by acquiring them, again, it gave them that very distinct advantage, because what Revolve really is, it's a fashion company, it's a clothing company, but it's also a very, very data-driven company. They make almost all their decisions based off of the data that they accumulate from over a decade of existence, as opposed to other retailers who basically have to work with different designers in order to get the kind of trends and inventory that they're desiring. Revolve, of course, does purchase wholesale from other designers and brands as well, but these in-house brands that make up, I think, a large part of their portfolio is a really essential part of their business that, again, is super beneficial for them in being able to respond to what consumers want. So that's why I think it's really important to familiarize yourself with these brands, especially if you're someone who wants to target a more millennial or trend-focused consumer. You can make decisions and source appropriately, but I also think it's really good to keep an eye on these brands and just what kind of styles that they're putting out and what kind of trends they're focusing on, in case you do come across those styles and trends in the thrift store from different brands. So if you're not super familiar with Revolve brands, in-house brands, do stick around. We're gonna get right into it. But first, I just wanna make a couple of disclaimers. The first one being, please, for this video or ever, really, don't ask me where I source my inventory. I can go into why that's important to me and why I think it's important for reseller etiquette in general in another video, but I won't disclose where I purchase my inventory now or in the future. I will say I do come across Revolve brands in Portland thrift stores. I didn't in Wichita, I'm gonna be completely honest, but in Wichita I did come across them pretty often in consignment stores, and I do come across them in consignment stores here in Portland as well. So my advice to you is to just be resourceful, try out new sourcing opportunities, try out things you haven't heard other people suggest, because the bigger the risk you take, the bigger the potential reward, and just constantly be experimenting and trying things out, which is what we are continuing to do every day here at Mogi, Beth, because the biggest opportunities that exist are not the ones that are being made public. They're the ones that are seemingly under the radar. So thank you for hearing me out about that. And then the second disclaimer I wanted to make is that, Revolve has been under fire, as many brands have recently, because of the lack of diversity within not only their influencer marketing campaigns that I talked about earlier, but also just their modeling on their website. And if you go to their website, you'll see so many white blonde models that are just spray tan to be so dark that it makes you question why they didn't just hire people who naturally have, a darker skin tone. This is not the first time Revolve has been under fire for this. They have put out a public apology, which again, white people are not meant to determine whether that's enough or not. This is not an affront against us white people. This is something that so many brands are guilty of. And although I personally thought Revolve's response was a good start, it's really not my place to determine that. So I'm gonna leave that down in the description down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you think it's inappropriate for me to talk about Revolve at all, I totally understand. And if you want to share that opinion, I open the comments section for that kind of discussion. I don't think Revolve is going away anytime soon. And I think because they are a company that's founded by at least one of the founders is a person of color, and the CMO, like I mentioned earlier, Raye, they're both Filipino American. I think they're in a position to really, they should understand that people of color just aren't represented well amongst so many brands in America, and that there's so many opportunities there. I think that are both the right thing to do and honestly the smart thing to do business-wise. But as a reseller, I think a lot of us are keeping close eyes on different brands, and that allows us to hold these brands accountable to the promises that they make. So I hope to, I am going to keep a close eye on Revolve now and in the future, and I hope that they do make changes with both their modeling and their influencer campaigns when it comes to diversity, especially when it comes to the inclusion of Black people. But again, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts, because I have blind spots and I would love to hear your opinion. Okay, but with that being said, I want to go over about 11 or 12 different Revolve in-house brands, and I hope this is super helpful to y'all. And I will say that I do come across these brands in the Portland thrift stores. So if you live in a city or a college town, I think you can definitely come across these brands in thrift stores or buy sell trade stores. And if you don't, then there are online arbitrage opportunities for these brands. I've purchased these brands on ThredUP before, and there are definitely other opportunities too. So again, like I said earlier, just be resourceful and try out new things and see what works for you. Okay, so the first brand I want to go over is a brand called Majorelle. Major, E-L-L-E, Majorelle. And I will put up a picture of the tag of all of these brands. The way that this brand is described by one website as a romantic aesthetic with a sexy and modern flair. When I think of Majorelle, I think of like poof sleeves, a lot of ruffles and lace and floral prints, and just kind of more of a feminine aesthetic with a lot of unique detailing. This brand has one of the higher retail values of all the brands that we're going to go over today. Retail ranges from $120 to $280, and then the resale value is about 50% of that, like from $60 to $120, especially when we're talking about dresses. Dresses are by far the best performing category in this brand, especially ones that are on trend. The ones that are on trend that have like sheer fabric or sheer mesh fabric or square neckline with lots of ruffles is really in right now. They can go for over $100, but typically other Majorelle dresses, if they're more plain, not especially super trendy, they're gonna go around like the $50 to $80 range probably. Any other category other than dresses will sell, but they just aren't going to perform as well. So just do keep that in mind when you are sourcing this brand. And that goes for a lot of brands on this list. The category I probably 9 times out of 10 be willing to pay up for is dresses. So the tops, sweaters, etc. just don't perform as well, but they will sell. So if you get it for the right price, I would say definitely pick it up. Some examples of what I've sold from Majorelle. Last year I sold this new tag sweet pea floral wrap dress for $100. And then last year again, I sold this Majorelle Apollo lace overlay mini dress for $80. And these were all new at tag. Then this year I sold recently this Majorelle bungalow white dress. It was for someone's graduation, which was great, and I sold that for $103. And then I also sold this new at tag Majorelle seaside star sequin netted dress for $76, and that was actually missing the lining, so I was really happy with that as well. The next brand I want to talk about is my actually favorite in-house brand from Revolve, and it is called Privacy Please. This is a much more vintage inspired brand, and you can actually just tell from the tag itself, the typography on the brand is just really, I love it. It's very vintage inspired. The way that this was described from one website is a vintage inspired fashion label ranging in dresses to rompers, boho chic separates, from floral prints to stylish stripes. I think of this as like a very light and airy and flowy and kind of like you're sauntering down a farmer's market type of brand. The retail value of this brand is anywhere from $70 to $180, so not quite as high as Majorelle, but still, you know, up there. And then the resale value varies a lot. It's around $30 to $100, so it really depends on the piece, really depends on the category. Floral maxi wrap dresses tend to do really well, or any kind of like wrap or maxi dress tends to do well. Tops actually perform pretty well in this category compared to other brands. If you were to compare, like for instance, tops from Privacy Please versus another brand we'll go over later, Lovers and Friends, tops from Privacy Please do a lot better. So if you come across a top from Privacy Please that you might have to pay up for, it might actually be worth doing some research and looking up comps. Some styles definitely do demand a higher average sales price, especially ones that right now square necklines and bodysuits are doing really well. So some examples of Privacy Please that I have sold. Last year I sold this new with tag Privacy Please Reed button-down linen dress for $68. I love this dress. I almost wish that I could get it back because I thought it was so pretty. And then I also last year sold this new tag Privacy Please Plaza kimono floral wrap dress for $60, but I've seen other comps of this dress and if it's sold for more, I could have gotten more. And then I also sold this Privacy Please J plaid mini dress for $60 last year. And then this year, the only dress that I've sold by Privacy Please is this new tag Acme Maxi dress in periwinkle and a size small for $80. A lot of times when I come across Privacy Please, I end up keeping it for myself because I like it. But I really like that brand, and I think it's definitely one to know. And I actually have picked up a dress from ThredUP under Privacy Please, and I'll link that ThredUP haul where I talk about that dress, but it still hasn't sold, but that makes sense because it's a black long sleeve dress. So I'm waiting till the fall or winter time. Okay, the next brand on our list is L'Académie or L'Académie. Yikes, my French. Let's try this for real. L'Académie. Oh geez. Okay, L'Academy. That's what we're gonna go with. And the way this is described is elegant, sophisticated dressing with chic and polished pieces complete with stylish details. And the way I like to think of it is like, think of a casual business meeting at a cafe in Paris, and you're just, you know, wearing like some oversized trousers with a blazer and then a cute little top. Very chic, very sophisticated kind of, but also, you know, seemingly like cool girl aesthetic as well, like very effortless. So a lot of blazers, a lot of button downs, a lot of wrap dresses. I really like this brand. I don't own anything really by them, but I like the aesthetic a lot. It retails anywhere from $90 to $250, so it does have pieces very much on the higher end of things. And then it resale has a very high variance, anywhere from $25 to $125, and it just really depends on the piece. Again, tops in this category don't sell for very much. If you get it for cheap, I think it's worth picking up, like at the Ben's or cheap at a Goodwill or something like that. But I would typically pass on paying up for tops in this brand. But dresses on the other style, depending on how recent they are, can go for a good amount of money. Older styles typically don't perform as well, but on average, I'd say that dresses can sell for like $60 to $70, and then some really on-trend pieces can sell for $100 plus. So just, if you find a piece, buy them. Check comps, and that's true for all of these, but this is really just important to know in case you do come across it. Your mind's like, oh, I've heard this before. And so then you can go and do your research based on that individual piece. Because again, and I say this all the time, do not become brand blind. And what I mean by that is you find a brand and you immediately buy it because it's on your bucket list or it's on your BOA list or you've heard it before, and you don't take the time to do the research. Pull out your phone, check comps, do the research. I have actually never sold this brand. Right now I have 3 items listed under this brand, and they're all receiving a good amount of likes, and I listed them recently, but none of them sold yet. So I can't speak from experience from this brand, but I'm excited to see how these 3 pieces perform. Okay, the next brand we're gonna talk about is Lovers&Friends, and this is actually Revolve's most extensive line within all of their in-house brands. For example, they have right now 1,785 items under the brand Lovers&Friends on their website. And if you compare that to some of the brands we just talked about, they have 840 Majorelle pieces, 608 Pricey Please pieces, and 532 L'Académie pieces. So they have a lot of Lovers&Friends, and so this is really kind of the staple brand of Revolve. The aesthetic of Lovers&Friends kind of does vary. It's a lot of things in solid color, a lot of form-fitting, figure-flattering pieces, a lot of satin fabric, a lot of ruched fabric. Just think sexy, trendy, Instagrammable, which is kind of Revolve's brand in a nutshell. But yes, Lovers&Friends is kind of the main staple of Revolve, so definitely one to know and to also keep an eye out for. You can retail anywhere from $600 to $300 plus, but the resale, of course, is everywhere. It's typically around $30 to $100 depending on, again, the style and category. Typically the items that are going to retail for, you know, $100 plus, or at least on the higher end of things, are the pieces that are retailing for $200 plus, and they have a good amount of Lovers&Friends pieces that retail for $200 plus. So if you're doing your research, you're going in Revolve and you're sorting by high to low with Lovers&Friends, that can give you a good idea of what the higher end pieces look like. Often these pieces are satin dresses, they're maxi dresses, they're wrap dresses, and I think they do really well for events or homecoming or prom. Of course, a lot of these special events have been canceled recently, and so I think a lot of these pieces aren't performing as well as they did in 2019. I find that to be true, but this won't last forever. People will hopefully one day go back to prom, go back to weddings, and so forth. And we'll see hopefully a resurgence of interest in these kind of longer, more expensive type of gowns and dresses. But also, you know, in my experience and from doing my research, swimwear does really well by lovers and friends. But something that does not do well is denim. I would not suggest you pick up lovers and friends denim unless it's specifically like super cute, but I generally just stay away. And also something to make note of is that this brand, Lovers and Friends, has been around a while. So some of the older styles just don't perform well. And so if you find a piece specifically in the thrift store or consignment store that you think is a little bit older looking style-wise, definitely check comps. That might be the case and it might not be worth picking up. I have a decent experience with this brand. In 2019, I sold this Nude Tag Lovers and Friends Ivy Green satin dress for $112. I sold this Charisma Stripe jumpsuit for $92. I sold this Lovers and Friends Alexandra rainbow stripe dress for $80. I sold this Montague rainbow maxi dress for $115. And then I sold this Lannistar mini dress in a size small for $125. And then this year I sold 4 items by Lovers and Friends. I've sold this Nude Tags Dream Vacay yellow mini dress for $95. I sold this Kappa sweater cardigan for $60. It was Nude Tags. So that does show that some sweaters actually do perform well, especially Nude Tags. I also sold this Nude Tag blend mini dress in Cabernet for $100. And again, this is that satin wrap dress that I was talking about that does especially well. And then another example of that I actually sold on Tradesy was this Ivy satin dress in Champagne that sold for $76.50. So definitely happy with those sales. And those sales are actually just some of what I sold. It's not an extensive, comprehensive list, but just examples of different items that do well under the Lovers and Friends brand. Okay, and then the next brand I want to talk about is Tularosa. And Tularosa is the brand I think of when I think of summertime. It is the boho brand of Revolve. This brand is described as being a vintage-inspired collection of romantic dresses, textural jackets, and embroidered tops. It's got a lot of embroidery, a lot of like cotton breathable fabric, which I like, a lot of crocheting, a lot of tassels, and little details like that. It retails from $50 to $250, about in that range, and it can resell anywhere from $25 to $100. So just depending again on the piece, but it usually performs around $45 to $65, especially when we're talking about dresses. So the maxi dresses again tend to perform the best. When you're going through this thrift store, definitely always go through the maxi dresses and know your Revolve brands when you're doing so. The more details on a piece, such as ruffles or tassels, the better the piece tends to perform. That's not always the case, but in my research, that's generally the case. And then the more basic type of solid color, not a lot going on pieces, especially in the tops, pants, and skirts category, don't perform that well. From my experience, and last year I sold some good pieces that I'll just show 3 examples of. So the first is this Nude Tag Tularosa Ina dress, ombre floral velvet, that I sold for $100. The next is this Nude Tag Tularosa Bryce floral lace maxi dress that I sold for $89. Last year again, I sold this Nude Tag Tularosa Sid floral wrap maxi dress. And then this year, I actually haven't listed that much Tularosa, but I have had one sale by Tularosa, and that is a Dixie rope embroidered mini dress that I actually sourced last year. And I sold that on Tradesy for $80.75. And that's another thing, is that if you do come across Revolve brands, I recommend listing it also on Tradesy, because that's the other platform that these brands tend to perform well on. And then eBay too, of course, but generally I find that the higher end pieces do better on Tradesy. Okay, so the next brand is NBD, and NBD has a few different, variations. There's X by NBD, and then there was a collaboration NBD with Naven Twins, and that collaboration I think no longer exists, but I did want to mention it just in case you do come across it in the thrift store. So MBD is kind of, the aesthetic is sexy, flirty, fun, party girl, going out on the town vibes. It's Revolve's other extensive line. On their website they have 1,269 items listed by this brand. Their, you know, sister brand X by MBD is the same type of vibe, same type of aesthetic, but kind of a more elevated version of that. So if MBD is for going out and partying, X by MBD is for going to more of a refined cocktail party, expensive cocktail party or event. X by MBD has a lot of pattern sequins, a lot of lace, and some oversized ruffles and things like that. However, I think X by MBD isn't really performing that well for Revolve, because when I was researching them, they only had 83 items by this brand on their website, and the vast majority of them were on sale. So I wouldn't be surprised if they discontinue this kind of line within MBD. It actually resells pretty well, so I definitely want to make note of that, because if you come across X by MBD because it retailed for so much more money, it's probably going to resell for a lot of money, especially if they discontinue it. That could increase demand on the reseller market. And the same with Naven Twins. I don't know how in demand those pieces are, but because they discontinued it, it's definitely something worth looking into if you find a piece by that collaboration, because it lasted at least for, I don't know, I think a couple of years. Could be wrong. MBD generally retails for $100 to $250, and then the resale value is around $30 to $150 with high variance depending on the style. I think with Lovers, Friends, and MBD, because they pump out so many styles, there are some that are just performing way better than others. They're going out dresses, so like, you know, the small little mini dresses that are just quick and fun and easy, resell for less than their kind of more formal dresses, because MBD does have kind of more longer maxi dress formal dresses. X by MBD retails for a lot more. It retails from $200 to $300 plus, and then it can resell from $60 to $150 plus. In my experience, last year I sold an MBD Go Anywhere midi tulle embroidered dress. I actually had a couple of these, and one of them sold for $100. I forget the other one. And this is again just a sample of what I sold. And then I had a new tag MBD Sailor slip pants that sold for $55. So I was actually pleasantly surprised with how these pants performed, how quickly they sold, and the price they sold for. So if I come across pants by MBD, especially new tag in the future, I'm definitely going to check comps. And then I sold this new tag MBD Eyes on Me beaded pink romper. It had these little beaded eyeballs all over, which I thought was really cool. It sold for $65. And then I sold this new tag X by MBD Yaya dress in pastel clouds, and this was the only X by MBD dress I think I've ever sold, and it sold for $150. So very happy with that. It's one of the reasons why I think X by MBD is definitely worth knowing. And then this year I think I've only sold one MBD item. I don't know how many I've listed, and it was actually on Tradesy, and it was this Madison linen jumpsuit and an extra small for $80.75. So yeah, definitely I think MBD is probably a brand that's being hit hardest by the pandemic, just because it is such a going out event centric brand. I think probably brands like Tularosa or L'Academy or Privacy Please or any of the other ones that are kind of more for casual wear are probably faring better, but definitely want to know, because again, life will return to a place where we are going outside our home and interacting with human beings, fingers crossed, eventually. But right now, you know, wear masks and don't go out as much as you can, because this virus is spreading quickly, y'all. Okay, the next brand on the list is actually Revolve and Alliance Apparel Group's in-house shoe brand, and it's Raye, R-A-Y-E. And right now, a lot of the shoes that is coming out of Raye are kind of 90s inspired. A lot of fashion is 90s inspired right now. A lot of strappy, kind of barely there heels, and a lot of square toe boxes. Just really, I think I really like that style. These shoes typically retail between $100 and $200. And then the resale value is usually under $100. There are some that kind of go a little bit over 100, but usually between $30 and $90. The boots and booties sell for more, and that's true for almost every shoe brand, so I'm not surprised there. I have pretty limited experience with this brand. I haven't really found or sold a lot of Raye shoes, but I think I have a few listed, and the two that I have sold were last year, and one were these embroidered mules, and I sold them for $89. And then the other ones were these studded black suede Maddie heels that I sold for $45. But yeah, I love selling shoes in general, and I would love to sell more Raye shoes in the future, especially ones that were on trend for this year and had more of that kind of, again, 90s aesthetic. Okay, so the next brand we're going to talk about is Grlfrnd denim. And if you watch my Bolo denim brands video, which I will link up on the screen, then you've heard me talk about this before. But I kind of knew but didn't know that Grlfrnd was an in-house Revolve brand. I knew they were closely associated with Revolve, but I didn't realize that this was a brand actually created by Alliance Apparel Group after they were acquired by Revolve in 2016. All of these jeans, Grlfrnd denim jeans, are made in Los Angeles with a very vintage LA West Coast inspired look. Lots of high rise, lots of light wash, lots of distressing, lots of button flies, which have all been on trend in these past few years. This brand also has expanded into different denim categories as well as non-denim categories. They, of course, do overalls, shorts, skirts, jackets, all denim. And they do a few other different things. The retail value is usually between $100 and $300, but the jeans typically retail anywhere from $200 to $250. Shorts and skirts have a pretty good resale value, but if you go to Nordstrom Rack or something like that, you might not want to pay too much for skirts, especially. Made that mistake before. And because they typically resell around $50 to $100 depending on the style. The jeans, however, do great. Older style jeans will typically resell for around the $50 range. But then the more on-trend, rigid denim jeans can resell anywhere up to $175, but typically within the $100 to $150 range. And I have pretty extensive experience selling Grlfrnd denim. I really, really like selling Grlfrnd denim. Last year, I sold this pair of new tag Grlfrnd Carolina high-rise skinny jeans for $150, and this is the Carolina style. I find does especially well. So if you come across Grlfrnd Carolina, and it's always, I think, within the style name is always within the inside, I think on the pocket, in case you ever come across it and want to look it up. And then I also sold another pair of these Carolina high-rise skinny jeans for $148. And then I sold this, and this is a good example, a new tag Grlfrnd Eva Gusset distressed denim mini skirt for $55, which I think is pretty much market value for that type of piece. And then I also want to include this one. I sold this new without tags Grlfrnd Kindle high-rise stretch skinny jean for $70. So this stretch denim under Grlfrnd, I find resells for less. Still sells for good money, don't get me wrong, but if you're gonna pay up for it, I might not pay that much up for the skinny stretch denim. It's more kind of the rigid straight leg or tapered leg denim that you're looking for in this brand. But this year I've sold a Grlfrnd Daphne super high-rise jean in Borderlands for $80, and this was a pair of jeans that I came across in a buy-sell trade store here in Portland, so that's great. $80 for a pair of used denim is thumbs up in my book. It was an excellent used condition, of course. And then I've also sold this new tag Grlfrnd Carla distressed high-rise flare for $175, which was great. And then this pair of Grlfrnd Carolina Gold Digger high-rise crop for $140. So I, again, love selling Grlfrnd denim, and if you don't know about it already, definitely do some more research, do some more digging, go on Revolve's website and look up Grlfrnd. And of course, Grlfrnd is sold at Nordstrom, so if you're ever digging around Nordstrom Rack during their sales, you might come across it and it might be worth picking up. The next brand I want to talk about is Ours. This was launched by Revolve and Alliance Apparel Group in 2017. The way you spell the brand is H and then Hours, O-U-R-S. This was a nightlife inspired brand with more edgier designs than the other brands on this list. It's described as, with a line of metallics and sequins, these Instagram worthy pieces are designed for the girls who love to party around the clock. Who's partying around the clock? Okay, I don't know. Around the clock, wow, that's like a full-time job. But anyway, these pieces can retail anywhere from $60 to $300+. And when I went on Revolve's website, the Hours pieces that they're releasing now are much more casual than they have in the past. And of course, I think that's because of COVID. And this brand resells anywhere from $30 to $100+, just depending on the piece. The more a statement the piece makes, you know, especially dresses that make a pretty big fashion statement, I think the better that this brand does. And there are definitely some cool examples of that if you go and do some more research. My experience, I've sold 2 Hours pieces. I think they're pretty exemplary of the type of pieces I'm looking for when it comes to Hours. The first, it was actually in a haul I did earlier this year, is this Hours Doria leather dress in forest green. It was 100% genuine leather dress. It was gorgeous. I sold it for $107. I actually found that at a buy-sell trade store in like immaculate condition, which was awesome. And they had it priced so low, which was weird, but great for me. And then recently I sold this new without tags Hours Raye asymmetric dress in Stardust Black for $80. So that was great as well. Hours, again, like NBD, is probably suffering more than other brands, but definitely one to know. And definitely I'm still picking up party dresses, event dresses, and that kind of stuff, even though they aren't performing as well as they usually do, just because there will become a time where they'll perform well and I'll be glad I picked them up. I just believe that wholeheartedly. Okay, and then there are 3 brands I just want to go over briefly. They all kind of fall in the same bucket, but it's like the super down bucket. So Revolve actually launched, they have a few different other online retail websites. One is forward.com, which sells high-end designer pieces. And then another is superdown.com. And Superdown is really, if Revolve is targeting the millennial consumer, Superdown is targeting the Gen Z consumer. Superdown is sold, the brand itself, at superdown.com and revolve.com, but then the 2 other brands that kind of fall in the same bucket as Superdown, at least in my mind, are By the Way, which I'll put a picture of up here, and then About Us. And all of these retail for usually under $100, and they're very, very, very trend-centric pieces. Tops usually retail around $40 to $45, and then dresses $65 to $70. The Gen Z demographic is anyone who's 23 and younger, so this is really kind of going after the college age or the high school even age consumer. And then of course a lot of their marketing campaigns are collabing with Gen Z aged influencers and really focusing on that Gen Z demographic. It's kind of been described as this younger generation's Forever 21, although admittedly it is more expensive, but they have sales really often. In these brands, all of them, Superdown, About Us, By the Way, they don't resell for very much. They resell, if it's used condition, like $15 to $25 depending on the piece, and then if it's in new condition, anywhere from $30 to like $45. Sometimes if it's a certain piece, it can resell maybe for $50. I will share a couple of Superdown pieces that have actually performed pretty well. I sold this Superdown new with tag Malaya jacket for, it was sold in a bundles for about $50, which was good. And then I sold this Superdown Kylie mini skirt set for $50, which I was happy about, and I think the sets can actually perform better than the dresses or pieces individually. But generally, like, I've sold a bunch of things for around $25 to $35. So because I did acquire some Superdown pieces recently, I wouldn't recommend paying up for these pieces. But if you do come across them in some kind of place where they're cheap, they do sell. They just sell for a lower price point. So, you know, just don't pay up for them is my warning. Just because they're sold at Revolve doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're gonna sell for a high sales price, and especially when it comes to those 3 brands. And then the case is also true for this brand in some ways. Lovewave is Revolve and Alliance Apparel Group's swimwear brand that they launched in 2018. And it retails anywhere from $60 to $180. So it retails for a good amount of money, but the resale value really varies, and especially the swimwear itself can really not perform super well. Bikini sets, like the sets together and the one pieces, can go from anywhere from $30 to $60. So it's not bad, like if you come across it in the thrift store or something like that, but it's not, you know, a ton of money. Then they also have activewear under this brand, Lovewave does, and I think that performs a little bit better. I would definitely be more interested in selling Lovewave activewear right now, but I would pick up the swimwear depending on the piece, depending on the style, if I got it for the right price. So I just wanted to also mention Lovewave because it is summer and swimwear is selling quickly for me right now. I have no experience selling Lovewave at all. I've never found or acquired a piece before, but I would pick it up for the right price, especially depending on the style. Okay, so the last brand I'm going to go over is Reve Riche, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing that okay. This was launched recently in November 2019, which is potentially one of the worst timings ever, of course, because 2020 has just not been kind to this particular category that this brand specializes in. This is Revolve's first high-end fashion label or brand, and it's sold not only on Revolve, but again on the website that they own that I mentioned earlier, forward.com, that specializes in high-end designer pieces. The pieces retail anywhere from $300 to $1,500 plus, and they're gorgeous, elaborately made cocktail dresses and evening gowns that have a lot of sequins and tulle and lace and feathers, just really, really gorgeous pieces. But of course, because of COVID-19, not a lot of cocktail parties, not a lot of events are happening. So I'm curious to see how long this brand will stick around, if it does stick around. It's so new that there's really not a lot of information when it comes to comps, and I don't have any personal experience with it, but I did want to mention it because it's something that I'm going to keep an eye on, something that I thought was really interesting that they're doing. Hopefully we will see it stick around to when people are going out again. Okay, so those are the in-house brands that I wanted to go over today, but I wanted to mention briefly some other Revolve brands that Revolve started launching even before they acquired Alliance Apparel Group. So a lot of these brands are collaborations with different celebrities, models, and influencers. Chrissy Teigen, Ale by Alessandra, and then with influencers such as Camila Coelho, or Song of Style, which is by Amy Song, and then House of Harlow, which you may have heard me talk about, which is Nicole Richie's brand. They have a collab with Michael Costello, who is a designer in his own right. He was on Project Runway, but his line with Revolve is actually one that resells really well. And then they just released a collab with Laquan Smith, which I thought was really exciting. It was recently featured on their Instagram as well, and you can find their pieces on Revolve. Yeah, I wanted to mention those. I'm not going to go over those in detail at all, but those are ones to also know, keep an eye out for because they can resell for a lot of money. All right, so that is the video. Revolve is constantly launching a bunch of different brands all the time. So I think it's definitely, you know, I think this is a pretty good starting point if you aren't super familiar with Revolve already to learn about these brands. But of course, there are more that I didn't cover, and they're constantly putting out more collaborations, more in-house brands, so definitely keep an eye on them. If there was a brand that you've had success with or you really like that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any questions about Revolve, also let me know that as well. I love the comment section. It can be such a great resource for all of us, including me. But anyways, I hope this was helpful to y'all in some way. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye. Y'all, if you haven't already, please like this video and hit the subscribe button down below. I know a lot of y'all haven't subscribed yet, and it would mean the world to us. Also, if you liked this video, check out these other videos. I actually did a video about anthropology right up here that is also super helpful.